about go-to-market strategy and launches. The reason why I bring these two terms together is because I feel like a lot of organizations, they're kind of used as the same thing.
Yeah.
And how do you define the two? Because it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, the never-ending debate around go-to-market strategy and product launches. I've been guilty in my past of kind of overlapping the two as well. But when I think about go-to-market strategy, it's making hard decisions collectively as an organization on how your company will continue to create and grow revenue. It's ongoing, it never ends, it
Yeah,
changes a lot. Um, a product launch is more of a moment in time.
yeah.
And of course, it can usually be it's an execution of something that was defined in strategy. But
Mm,
when you talk about go-to-market strategy, this can be things like one of the biggest complaints we get from our customers is we're not available 24/7. We're going to invest in having a customer success team in on the other side of the world so that we can be 24/7. Or we want to not just serve enterprise, we want to serve an SMB. We want
mm,
to stand up a product led growth motion.
yeah.
Neither of those have anything to do with launching a product, but oftentimes, companies are like, we want to enter this new market, but to do that, we've got to have a product. Here's the product.
Yeah.
That's the product that we want to launch. And I think that's where it gets confusing because a product launch can be part of the overall go to market strategy.
100%.
And not only that, you might have to revisit
Yeah.
how you're actually going to market because of this product. And it might be nuanced for this new product or line of products.
Welcome to an episode of Spill the Marketing Beans. And I'm really excited to be talking to Shannon Kearns today. Shannon, thank you so much for taking the time to just chat about things.
I'm excited to be here, Shara. Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked for the conversation.
Yeah, me too. So, I mean, I really like talking about, first of all, I mean, I wanted to talk to you because I've been reading a lot of like the very interesting posts that you've been sharing. So I thought, okay, you know what, we can cover a lot of cool things like launches and go to market and all of that. Because I mean, I know those are things that you're really interested in and something that I'm in the thick of also. So I thought, great,
Mhm.
we'll do that. But I love a good origin story. And I know that, in your path, there was a time that, you were a marketing generalist, but then also pivoted into product marketing. So tell me about, tell me everything.
Yeah, yeah. So the hilarious thing, well, I think this is quite common for people who have been doing marketing for over 12 years. For me, I'm probably pushing 13, but realized I had been doing product marketing for a while, like way longer than I actually knew what it was. I spent 6 years at an enterprise B2B SaaS company, great company, loved it. And I was doing all these things: advertising, website, social media, sales enablement, analyst relations, da da da, the list goes on. We were also bringing a lot of solutions to market, but I was like, realizing that I did not understand why certain decisions were being made and like actually how to bring these solutions to market and how to talk about them and that sort of thing. I didn't have any structure. And so we had access to like the Gartner marketing content, and
Right.
someone somewhere mentioned product marketing. And so I started going really deep in that. And I was
Okay.
like, oh my gosh, this is the structure that I've been looking for. There's all these nice frameworks and like competitive research that defines how you bring something to market. And it was fascinating. And so I just got really deep into learning about PMM. I stayed a generalist overseeing all of marketing for another couple of years. And then
Okay.
honestly, I was just sick and tired of advertising and website and social media. And I was like, screw it, I'm going all in on product marketing.
Nice.
So
But were there like any
that's
specific areas that you found? Okay, like, I mean, sometimes I know those are also like the fun bits, like working on those creative parts, but what were the exact elements of product marketing that just got you thinking, that's it? That's what I want to work.
Yeah, yeah. The tie between customer insights informing a really awesome product and then actually being able to bring that back to the people that want it most and
Mm,
like launching the actual product as well. So the full circle of understanding what customers or the market really wants, how to build something
mm.
differentiated, and then bringing it back. Like, I really love product launches for that reason because you get to see it through.
Yeah. I like what you said, bring it to people who really want it because sometimes, especially when it comes to like launches or like go-to-market strategies and stuff, we just like give that very blanket thing of, okay, this needs to be promoted to marketeers. Like, how do you like dive in? So I think that's a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting call out.
It's and we'll talk about this later, is this idea of who actually needs this. When we're
Mm,
talking about a product launch, it's like, well, who actually cares? We don't need to
yeah,
just pray and pray all over the place, right? Not
yeah,
everyone is typically going to want a new product that you release. So to your point, you've got to think about that. And to me, it's just fascinating. And I don't think I'll ever go back to being a generalist.
yeah. Okay. So I know like when as you kind of climb the ranks, like you held like director roles and things like that, and then talk me through like the pivot of, I know a lot of people usually want to, keep being a product marketer for a while. Are you going to keep going into the whole path of a VP, or is it the C-suite? And then like what you are now, you're a PMM consultant. So what was that journey like?
That journey pivoting to consulting, I felt really constrained
Mm,
as a product marketer getting to the next level. I also wasn't interested in managing. I didn't really want to have a team.
yeah.
And I found myself really loving the process of understanding new pains in the market, helping the company deliver the new product, and then marketing that product. And there was just a cap for me as an FTE. And also, I was just really unhappy as an FTE. I worked for a lot of like pretty crappy companies that had really bad oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the culture.
Yeah. That's a huge
Bad
one.
culture. And so about 7 months ago, I decided, well, actually a little bit before that, but I decided to just leave that behind, and moving into being a consultant is the most terrifying, but also the most energizing thing I've ever done. I mean, it's an emotional roller coaster, but I am so inspired every single day by the work that I do. And again,
Yeah.
what I love is coming in, learning a business quickly, understanding the challenges, and helping them solve big problems. And I get to do that with so many different companies. And I just feel like finally there's like, I'm able to apply all of this stuff that I've learned over 12, 13 years and actually deliver value. And I have awesome clients. I love all of my clients.
Nice. I want to talk more about, what your journey now is like being a consultant. But before that, you did say something interesting about managing a team and just not really feeling keen anymore. And I feel like increasingly a lot of people are having mixed thoughts about don't really want to manage a team anymore. I'd rather be an individual contributor and keep still being
Yeah.
senior role. Why do you
Yeah.
think people are kind of moving away from not wanting to maybe grow and mentor a team as rewarding as it feels?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, you can still very much mentor across an
Mhm.
organization or as a consultant without running your own team.
Yeah.
So for me, I fill that gap in other ways. And I think that's a lot of why people want to manage, is to mentor and build people up. You don't
Yeah.
have to be a manager to do that.
Yeah.
I think the other side of things is that people move further and further away from the work that they love. Like, we're product marketers. We kind of love being in the thick of it sometimes. We
For
want to get
sure.
our hands dirty.
Yeah.
Once I have 4 people reporting to me, it's hard for me to be in the thick of it. Like, I've got to be focused on managing, building out systems,
Yeah.
budgeting, planning, all of that. That was at least the case for me about not wanting to manage. And I had managed in the past and I really enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
it wasn't where I wanted to go with my career.
Okay, so let's talk about where you are now. Being a consultant, for example, what does your day look like? I mean, I'm sure like having control over your time is of course a really great perk. And what else do you really enjoy?
Yeah, having control over my time. I don't know about it's like
I mean,
less
all of the time that you have is yours now. So,
it's like it's less glamorous than I thought it would be. No, so realistically, when you're a consultant, you have two things going on. You're running the business over here, and then you're working with clients over here.
yeah.
And so my week is split between those two. And so on the running the business side, it's a lot of that business development, creating my pipeline. It's also continuing education, thought leadership content, it's networking. I live and breathe LinkedIn. So that's like the running the business side of things.
Yeah.
And then on the other side is all of the client work. And again, for me, I'm part strategy, part execution for pretty much all of the projects that I do. So I get to do a lot of the fun strategy, mostly around product launches. So messaging and positioning, ideal customer, how are we at, what channels are we actually activating here to bring it to market? And then I get to do some execution focused stuff too. Like, I've written email copy, I've built advertisements, I do competitive intelligence, sales training.
Right.
So that's what my world kind of looks like as a consultant.
So before you kind of carve that path for yourself, how did you figure out, okay, this is, how do you position yourself, so a client knows like, okay, this is the consultant I want to work with.
Oh, it's a great question. It is, I approached this the way that I would do this for a small company, like a startup just starting out.
Okay.
You're not going to have the perfect ICP. You're not going to have the perfect positioning as a consultant. So I started with a strong hypotheses,
Okay.
and I built that hypothesis, and I built that hypothesis from some inputs. Those inputs for me were, what wins do I have I had in the last year or two, recent wins, and
Mm.
what are kind of the themes across those wins? What's the work I love doing? Where are my capabilities super strong but also differentiated? And then
Yes.
where do I have a strong point of view? Because
Mm.
as a consultant, you've got to have a strong point of view and you've got to be differentiated.
Yeah.
And so that's how I approached my positioning. And everything thereafter is just kind of signals. Okay, this kind of worked. This didn't really. I might lean into this. So yeah, it's exactly like if you're rolling out a new product as a startup. Like, don't be so married to your original positioning. It's a hypothesis,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay. So for someone who might be, checking this episode out right now, and if they are considering being a consultant, like let's give like a real picture. What are like the not so great bits about going from like a FTE to a PMM consultant, especially a PMM consultant, where the definition for being a PMM varies.
It varies. And one note on that, uh, if someone is thinking about consulting in product marketing, I would think less about all of the things that a PMM can do
Yeah.
and more in the definition of product marketing. I would think more about the trigger moments within organizations. They're launching a product, they're repositioning a product, they want to enter new markets, they're
Right.
repackaging. think about trigger moments in the companies that you want to work for versus
Mm.
product marketing is sales enablement and product launches and da da da. So in general, that's gonna, I think, make it easier. But some of the pitfalls, number one, two are very obvious. The third snuck up on me, and I'm
Okay.
still struggling with it. The first is like predictable pipeline. Consulting is really unpredictable. I've had
Yeah.
stuff close in a week. I've had stuff take 4 months. I've had people ghost me completely. 5 emails later, still no word. It's
Right.
unpredictable. You have to be okay with that. The second is back to what I said earlier, the capacity to work on client projects is not 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
It is less than that. And it takes some time to figure out how much of my time can I actually invest in clients.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of consultants take on way too much work and then they can't focus on running the business.
Mm.
And that will that will nip you in the butt. I kind of made that mistake early on as well. And then the third one, this is the one that I struggle with, and a lot of, I think, product marketing consultants struggle with, is like when you become a consultant, you are a salesperson.
Mm.
You're always in sales mode. There's
Yeah.
no getting around it. You've got to embrace it.
Yeah.
So for me, I watched crazy amounts of Alex Hormozy YouTube videos.
Right.
I created a couple of Claude coaches for myself, like sales coaches. So I would feed in transcripts to tell me, here's how you handled this wrong. Here's how you could handle it better. And then also, I have one that coaches me preparing for calls. Like, okay, I'm in the third and final call where I'm sharing the proposal. What do I need to be aware of? So, whatever you have to do to make yourself get really good at sales.
Yeah.
Like that is a challenge,
Yeah.
especially if you're not inherently a seller.
Yeah. That is tough. Because whenever I would sit on a sales call and when I would watch, my colleague do that, I was like, you know what? There's a reason why they're doing that. And it's not me. Happy to give you the resources that you need, but
Yeah, it's some people are just built as salespeople, and that's really cool. Other people, we've got to learn.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back to, what you said there about like triggers. And I think it's so right when you choose a company, their need for like sometimes product marketing comes out because of various incidents. And a lot of, in my experience, it's been because either there was something wrong with the launch cycle or how they did like go to market and things. And that's when they needed product marketing. And that's what I want to talk to you about now, Shannon. Uh, about go-to-market strategy and launches. The reason why I bring these two terms together is because I feel like a lot of organizations, they're kind of used as the same thing.
Yeah.
And how do you define the two? Because it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, the never-ending debate around go-to-market strategy and product launches. I've been guilty in my past of kind of overlapping the two as well. But when I think about go-to-market strategy, it's making hard decisions collectively as an organization on how your company will continue to create and grow revenue. It's ongoing, it never ends, it
Yeah.
changes a lot. Um, a product launch is more of a moment in time.
Yeah.
And of course, it can usually be it's an execution of something that was defined in strategy. But
Mm.
when you talk about go-to-market strategy, this can be things like one of the biggest complaints we get from our customers is we're not available 24/7. We're going to invest in having a customer success team on the other side of the world so that we can be 24/7. Or we want to not just serve enterprise, we want to serve an SMB. We
Mm.
want to stand up a product-led growth motion.
Yeah.
Neither of those have anything to do with launching a product, but oftentimes, companies are like, we want to enter this new market, but to do that, we've got to have a product. Here's the product.
Yeah.
That's the product that we want to launch. And I think that's where it gets confusing because a product launch can be part of the overall go to market strategy.
100%.
And not only that, you might have to revisit
Yeah.
how you're actually going to market because of this product. And it might be nuanced for this new product or line of products. But even so, a launch is more of a bit of a moment in time, whereas strategy, again, it's all about making trade-off decisions
Yeah.
that impact how your organization grows and makes money over time. Does that like what's your read? Is that like how you see it as well?
Yeah, because I often think I also think it also differs depending on who owns it. Like the go-to-market strategy, I think in most cases I
It's a
feel
great
would
point.
be something that's led by the CMO where they figure out, this is how we're going to, approach. Like this is what we figure out what our competitive advantage is, and this is how we figure out who is that exact customer that really cares about this, and this is how we're going
Yeah.
to win in that space that we've
Yeah.
decided that we specialize in. So I feel like it also depends on who leads a conversation. Whereas, like
Yeah.
you very correctly said, the launch is like a part of that. You've developed something because you've decided this is how you're going to win there. And then you're going to do
Right.
a launch. And in most cases, led by the product marketing person. One question that I also came to mind when we talked about like go to market strategy, and I know there are a lot of posts and things that we a lot read about where people say, okay, you know what, uh, listing out a bunch of channels isn't a go to market strategy. So then, what is a go to market strategy? Like, if you had to like simply define on what it would look like on paper, what would that be? Is it
Yeah.
something so simple to kind of talk about?
Yeah, it's again, I think go to market is about trade-off decisions. It's ongoing conversations, it's trade-off decisions, what we can do, what are we choosing not to do. It's also a lot about like, setting up systems as well,
Yeah.
internally as an organization, especially now with AI. So for me on paper, it's not a deck. It's probably just like a long form document that you continue to revisit and lives and breathes. But really, it's a series of conversations like, who are we going after? With what products? How are we positioning these products? How do we bring those products to market? What do we need to do internally and externally, system wise, to be successful with these products?
Hmm.
What does success look like from an objectives and KPIs point of view? So I really see go to market strategy like I've written it down in longer form documents for sure,
Yeah.
but it's constantly changing and evolving. And it really is just conversations around trade off decisions. Where can we invest? What are we going to get? What do we want to do? And what do we want to not do? And it's all grounded in those customer insights that you mentioned. It's
Yeah.
all about those insights. We're doing all this stuff. What's the read? We've got to feed that back into the strategy. And that's where product marketing can be so strong because they're able to bring those insights that can inform, again, hey, we're losing people because of our customer success is in 24/7. We should consider this huge move to build overseas, for example.
Yeah.
So it's all about customer insights and the market shifts.
I love that you brought that up, especially on customer insights. Can you walk me through an incident or maybe an example where you were able to very successfully leverage customer insights rather in informing a better strategy? Or, how did you bring that up to make a launch successful?
Let me do the latter because the former is going to take me longer to think
Sure.
about.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fine.
so there was I was working. with this company, and essentially we were listening to all of the sales conversations, and we were missing out on this specific product that we really needed to have in order to compete with our primary competitors. And we were starting more and more to lose deals. We all hear this narrative. It happens all the time. And so that was brought to the product team, and it needed to happen fast because there was also things going on in the market that were accelerating the need for this. So it wasn't just, hey, we're losing deals. It was things are happening in the market where the actual need, this is also an opportunity for us to expand our revenue reach.
Right.
And so we agreed on doing that. We spun it up in literally a 4-week time period. And then on the launch side, though, because we were moving so quickly, the approach for the actual launch was more of a free trial experience because we wanted to get something out, but the product wasn't going to be ready in time.
Okay.
And so what I proposed was to do more of a free trial experience with the set of customers that really trusted us. We can announce it, we can talk about it, we make the board of directors happy, we can start competing with competitors and show them that we're working on something.
Right.
And then in the second phase, we actually started charging and rolled it out to the larger audience. So I think that's a really good example of how customer and market insights drive needing to produce something really quickly, but maybe product readiness isn't quite there. And so as a product marketer, you've got to navigate that so that the launch doesn't flop, because they were pushing it out no matter what, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of launches that flop, I thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about launches can be so hard because
Yeah.
you are, juggling a million pieces. And I feel like it's something that I could write a book about simply because, there are all these fun stories and incidents that have happened because of it.
Good idea.
Right? Just for all of us to have a laugh. But why do you think most launches fail, or why do you think they feel just difficult?
Hectic. The one is the product readiness, which was the example that I gave, where you think you're delivering 100% of the product, but only 70% of it is ready, and you've got pressure to actually release it.
Yeah.
And you've got to work with the team, right? This can come from the board of directors. You don't have a choice. So then you
Yeah.
get creative and you think about, all right, we'll do the free trial, we'll do discounts for customers, we'll phase it in. The other piece is just the product itself, right? If it's not grounded in customer insights and market need, it's
Mhm.
gonna, you can't outmarket your way. You can't market your way out of a product that no one really wants. And I've seen
Yeah.
this happen where you build something for your $2 million client because they asked for it, and it's a complete flop because no one else wants it.
Yeah.
So the product, there's product readiness. And then the third one, which we've kind of talked about earlier, is the actual strategy behind bringing a product to market
Yeah.
and having those tough conversations
Mm.
about who are we going after first? How are we positioning this? How are we actually measuring success? How are we talking about it? A lot of times people just take a product from the product team and they fill it into a list of launch checklist items.
Yeah.
There's no conversation about what do we actually need to do and why and
Yeah.
how. So that's the other way where I've seen it really flop, because it's kind of a spray and pray approach. Here's everything that we do for tier one, check, 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 check.
Right.
But you're like, wait, who actually wants this product? We haven't even talked about that,
Yeah.
So those are three things that I see that I have lived through too many times.
How do you get to that part where you figure out, okay, this is the exact audience that cares about this? I mean, of course, you do like customer insight or like
Yeah.
interview voice of customer, all those things, but how do you really define that audience part when you plan a launch?
Yeah. So I like to, uh, before I do a larger launch, I'll actually do a go-to-market strategy for that launch, and that
Yeah.
comes to life in an actual document.
Right.
And I think out of the positioning and out of your ideal customer, so it's all about understanding the differentiation and the value and what of your audience is going to care, and trying to find themes within your existing audience base that align with that positioning and that differentiated value. And so typically that's my approach, is trying to find themes across
Hmm.
existing customer base that actually tells us who the ideal customer might be for this, based on sales conversations, based on customer reviews, based on the actual product capabilities and the requirements to bring on the product. So I think it's a lot of different inputs
Yeah.
that inform who you're going to go after first. And I always like to be a little bit more focused and then expand beyond that. Again, start with a strong hypothesis, have a really strong message to this concentrated audience,
Hmm.
and then you can grow from there. Because if your message isn't specific, it's going to really flop. And that takes a good amount of insight and workshopping, workshop with sales, workshop with customer success, all of that.
Nice. Okay, so that's really interesting. I was also thinking, so getting all of those things, I think is 100% right at the start. There was also this interesting post that you had written recently about, what I wanted to get to was, how what can a PMM do at the start of the launch to make things successful? And one of the things that
Mhm.
I have been fighting for a lot is making sure that I'm brought into the conversation earlier. And I saw recently you had posted about, as much as we want that, how early do we bring everyone else to the conversation with us? And I think that's something that I had personally experienced when I thought, yeah, I should have done that myself as well. But along with that, what are the other things that you think that we need to get right at the start in order to make a launch successful?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll just very simply have the difficult conversations, force the team to have the difficult conversations around some of those key pieces that go into a strategy of launching a product. Who are we actually targeting and why? How is this positioned? And is our sales team, are they on board with that? Are they on board with who we're targeting? How
Mm,
are we actually rolling this out? Is it a phased rollout? Why? What are the checkpoints? What are the guardrails to make sure that we're successful as we roll this out?
yeah.
What are the other things happening on the brand side and in the market during this time frame that we could potentially tap into in order to elevate the product launch narrative? The biggest piece of advice is, don't be afraid to say, hey, we need to have some tough conversations. It's a lot easier than you think it is. It goes a lot quicker. And people are very happy that these things are talked about. I think too often product marketers are just a little, and I was the same way when I was in house. Like honestly, Ashara, I was scared to push for this.
Yeah, I did want to ask you, how do you become like, not that we are, but how do you become like brave enough to like do that? Sometimes, especially in like rooms full of like other more candid and loud and brave opinions, how do you bring
Totally.
yours in, how do you get over that initial thing of, I have something to say?
I think it's a great question. I like to do a little one pager of trade-off decisions and help people understand like some of the implications and like what my recommendation would be. And then I like to find team members, like one or two team members, and convince them and have this conversation with them and
Yeah.
then get them on board. And then we all kind of help flag it to our senior people together. It can move really quickly, and that's why you build your relationships with your peers, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only way that I was successful. If I just went straight to my boss, even with this list of trade-offs,
Yeah.
not silence. It's like, no, I need to get other peers on board. And then we all need to like have this narrative, have the recommendations and the concerns and the risks. And then it's like, oh, okay. Sometimes they would just ignore it and they'd be like, no, we're moving forward. All
You did
right,
what you had
well,
to do. Yeah. So
here are the risks of doing that. So now we all know, okay, cool. But
yeah.
that's the only recommendation I can give there. Get your peers on board early and
Mhm.
be really explicit about what you're concerned about and come with recommendations. Like you're the expert, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I think that's something we often like forget though. Like,
I know.
I
Really.
I don't know why, but I feel like a lot of the product marketers that I've met, like including myself, like this whole sense of like imposter syndrome, I feel like it's very easy for that to like take over for a little bit. And then you're like, no, I know stuff. I know my stuff. You know what I mean?
It's such a great point. And we shouldn't be afraid of our job isn't to be right. Our
Yeah.
job is to bring
Mm,
people together to have the important
I
conversations.
love that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's okay if I'm like completely off on something and it's like, oh, actually, okay, this is the way. That's fine. You
Yeah.
don't need to be right. Just bring, like, our job is to bring the people together.
Uh,
And so don't worry so much about imposter syndrome. Worry about getting the people together and the collaboration because every product marketer is freaking awesome at cross-functional collaboration because you have to be. So, but I totally get it, the imposter syndrome. I still get it all the time.
yeah, yeah. No, thank you for validating that. And I totally agree. Like, every product market we meet, like they're awesome. They know their stuff. And that's how, we've been able to like, just stick it and do all these things we've been doing. One
Yeah.
final question for you, Shannon. I feel like this should be like my hot take question, and I really wanted to talk a little bit about this. Do you think that we make the job of being a PMM difficult ourselves simply because the definition of it is so fluid? Like everybody knows what a product person is supposed to do. But we often say, oh, a product market is supposed to be better than the product team. We're supposed to be able to sell better than the sales team. And I feel like this whole
Totally.
constant challenging of what a PM is supposed to be, I feel like is sometimes a little damaging. So
Yeah.
do you think we're complicating the role than we should?
I think we try to overscope it. I think we try to
Yeah,
overscope what our role is without really understanding what the business needs from us. It could
yeah,
be that you have a killer user research team and a killer product team that understands the needs of the customers insanely well. Maybe you have a customer marketing team that handles all of voice of customer. You might have a separate sales enablement team. Like, don't fight against the existing systems of an organization just because product marketing is supposed to be these 15 different sets of responsibilities.
yeah,
Understand what is already there. And maybe your role is 25% of what a traditional PMM could be. We have to be okay with that because, again, I think where PMM is really strong is bringing those people together and having the tough conversations and having the collaborative conversations and bridging all of those different
yeah,
silos. So again, I myself have tried to overscope instead of just
yeah.
working with the company I'm at to like fill the gaps where they need. So that's my POV on that. And it sounds like you're similar.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you for that, Shannon. I really appreciate you taking the time with me
Thank you so
today. This
much.
was this was really wonderful, and just appreciate you giving me my own little masterclass. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, I had so much fun, Ashara. It was great chatting, and I'll see you around on LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk soon.